And I'm here with Mr. Revoke Your Consent, David Darnell.
Mm-hmm.
And we are here tonight. We just decided that we are here to feast on the carcass. News. Might be a new name for the show. We're not sure. But we feel like we are the wild hyenas of the news cycle.
Or the crows. I noticed today when I went to bring the garbage cans in that there was a dead deer in right next to my driveway. And the crows have been feasting on that carcass all day, driving my dogs nuts.
Your dog, and are your dogs now inside ready to bark at the program, or are they still outside observing the carcass?
No. Well, the crows go to sleep at night, like good birds should do. Owls are not good birds, but crows are. But yeah, it reminded me of when you said that, feasting on the carcass of the news, that there was a carcass laying outside my driveway being feasted upon. Circle of life, baby.
Yeah, well, I was going to say,
the mainstream puts out the news, and we're here to feed on its carcass. Circle of life.
Well, did you hear this? Let's lead off the story with something that we would never lead off the show with ever, but I'm going to tonight.
All right.
It was a ruling in Grant County. Apparently, the North Malheur unit of the U.S. Forest Service, southeast of Seneca, ruled that an elk hunter who shot and killed a wolf, that he was acting in self-defense. I guess it's the Oregon State Police it issued this ruling. So do you know if the crows, if they've ruled in favor of the crows acting in self-defense or not in the case of the carcass of the...
it was funny. I thought about this today, and I didn't even hear about that story. But I drive around thinking about stuff all the time, and I thought, it's deer hunting season again, and here the state is telling you how many deer you can eat, and what kind of deer, and where you can kill a deer, and charging you a fee for killing a deer. And meanwhile, the mountain lions and the wolves are eating all they want, So it's a good thing you're not hungry. Because, the state is here to make sure you don't get too much.
Yeah, that's right. I don't understand why animal activists don't urge prosecutions of predatory carnivores because, look, a lion, think of how many animal murders have been committed by a lion.
Yeah. And we have mountain lions crawling all over where I live. I mean, they are everywhere. They take a bite out of the side of a horse. There's always somebody posting in one of the local groups about a mountain lion. And the reason for that is because Oregon outlawed the hunting of mountain lions with dogs, which is the best way to hunt mountain lion because they're kind of crafty. They are cats, but they're big, and when they run out of deer, they're going to start looking for us.
They're going to eat whatever they can because dinner is dinner.
Dinner is dinner.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know much about wolves.
It's what's for dinner. It's whatever isn't available is not for dinner. So whatever is.
Well, whatever hasn't been eaten is going to be dinner, and they're doing a pretty good job on the deer population. So apparently they must not have a problem with wolves and mountain lions in Wyoming, because I understand there's about 10 or 20,000 extra elk in Wyoming that they're trying to get rid of.
Well, I'm glad we led off the story with a carcass and an as yet unruled upon deer homicide. That could have implicated some crows in this potential. They might be considered to be colluding with whoever did actually.
And here's another thing about that particular carcass, and maybe there's a parallel with the news carcass that we're feasting on, but there was another deer across the road about 100 feet up from my driveway, right? Last week or the week before or something. And I'm thinking, and it's not there anymore. And I'm wondering if this is the same carcass. And if it is the same carcass, those crows didn't pick that carcass up and move it.
No.
Something fairly good size moved that damn thing, which means I probably have a mountain lion at my driveway.
In the neighborhood. Oh, that's interesting. And yeah, they won't eat the whole thing, right? I mean, the mountain lion eats what it wants, and then it goes and does whatever it wants.
Yeah, it goes and kills another deer the next day.
Well, you know what I'd like to see? I mean, I think this could be pay-per-view. Is Antifa in Black Bloc versus mountain lions.
Yeah.
You know, just see what can happen. You know, kind of like a nature encounter, and then they just film them. Like, you just stay out there as long as you can, and all you have to do is survive the mountain lions.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, according to their statement on the letters that they sent to election clerks nationwide with fentanyl in the envelope, they're running things now. So, I mean, it's probably time to get the mountain lions on board and let them know who's running things.
Actually, it might be safer if the mountain lions run the streets of Portland. It's like, well, at least I know that the mountain lions probably just as scared of me as I am of them, and but Antifa not deterred as easily. So,
right,
yeah, good point. Well, you know, it's just so hard to pick what to take from the news carcass here, but I'll just grab one here. So
let's go for some organs.
Yeah. Well, here's one. Don't weaken the requirements to become a lawyer. Apparently, Oregon is not doing away with the state bar exam to licensed lawyers, but the Oregon Supreme Court has approved that as of next May, law school graduates would have the option of taking the bar exam or going through an apprenticeship where they build a portfolio of work and demonstrate that they have the skills to be a lawyer. Both options have the same purpose. They are different ways of proving it. So we're going to lower standards for lawyers so we can have more of them and less trained.
I'm not sure you can lower standards for lawyers, to be honest with you. I mean, I've paid lawyers lots of money only to find out that they're trying to figure it out themselves. You know,
they charge you for them to go figure it out, basically. Is that it?
Yeah, that's called a practice. They're practicing on your dime.
Yeah, practicing lawyer is practicing while they charge you, basically.
But you know, interestingly, and here we go with Wyoming again, you can become a lawyer in Wyoming without going to law school. You can intern with a lawyer in Wyoming and become a lawyer. So,
you know, there might be a good side to this. What they should do is do away with law school, and instead just say, if you you can either do the bar exam or you can go do X, Y, Z. But just think, going to Lewis and Clark Law School right now and learning to become a loyal communist to free convicted felons from prison, so that victims' families can find out in the news. You know, that's something that I don't know why you need years of law school to produce that result.
No, I don't think you do. I think you can. I think most of that should be taught in the public schools already.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's for sure. And then, of course, can't you just watch TV at this point? I mean, a lot of the stuff that people know about the legal system comes from television, and in fact, television really looks like a fairly more serious and aggressive law enforcement exercise with prosecutors involved than you see in real life in Portland, where if they arrest you and then they charge you, the charges get how interesting would a program, what was the one that was on for years, like dun dun, that little gavel.
It's Law and Order, but I always called it Crime and Punishment.
Crime and Punishment, yeah. Very very Dostoevsky-esque there, but but imagine Crime and Punishment. What if it was like if they just called the show Catch and Release, and they just go in,
Law and Order Portland edition.
That's right. You have the criminal, and then you have the police. They come along. The police come over on bicycles. The criminal, he just blows fentanyl.
Bicycle with shorts on.
That's right. And while they're this fentanyl smoke's wafting around, and they say, "What's up?" And then they arrest the guy on something. And then they take him over. And then Mike Schmidt, instead of being this aggressive prosecutor meeting with people, how are we going to get him prosecuted? He goes, boy, this person, I feel sorry for them. We should just let them go. Look, they don't have any money, so we can't charge them bail. And
they're going to need money when they get out. So
that's right. That's right. They can need the money to go buy fentanyl. We can't take that away from them. And so, yeah, just imagine. And then it would never have any court trials unless there was a MAGA Republican or somebody, Proud Boy or something like that. And then they'd have to base every episode on finding the microscopic number of Proud Boys that just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, being assaulted by an Antifa guy. Yeah. And then they arrest that guy. Some guy with a paintball gun. Imagine an entire episode of Law and Order about a guy with a paintball gun.
What evidence do you have? He's a Republican. Oh, slam dunk.
Convicted.
Lock him up. No bail. Ask for no bail.
No bail. He's too much of a danger to the community and himself with that paintball gun. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Law and Order Portland would be that would be pretty fun. Saturday Night Live should pick up on that.
Yeah, if they still were into humor. I'm not sure they do that anymore.
I could get somebody to do. I forget that guy's name, but he played Edgar in Men in Black, or Edgar, I should say.
Yeah.
He's Italian, I think. Italian name. But he's always got the funny, look.
There's a whole bunch of comedians that are now conservatives. They've been canceled by the comedy. Comedy system, but
yeah, you're not left with much choice after you get canceled, are you?
No.
You got to find an audience somewhere.
They're really funny. I mean, J.P. Sears is hilarious, and he does the fake newscast where he actually tells more truth than the people he's imitating who do newscasts. That's what's crazy, is that you can get to the truth with humor. You can't get to it with woke white idiots that go read from teleprompters. So they'll figure. I guess I shouldn't be surprised at that. Right. Well, here's another one for you. So Tina Kotek is being blasted because she made some clean energy comments. She said, thanks to the historic investment from @POTUS, which @POTUS doesn't know he's doing anything, we're creating more clean energy jobs right here in Oregon. Naturally, clean energy can be a debated topic, with some people preferring alternatives such as nuclear energy. Kotek's comments generated 100 comments, with many of them criticizing her support for the new initiative. Because apparently, now here's what so one person replied, I have a simple solution to all of it. Vote out every Democrat politician and the climate change problem would disappear entirely.
It would, wouldn't it? Because the climate would in fact stop changing.
That's right. It's a political emergency. So get rid of the politicians, emergency gone. Then we can get back to like scientists who actually have to explain things. And I think, wasn't it a few months back, 16,000 of them said BS on this? So, but another person said Congress appropriated the funds. 1, 2. Why did the feds have the money? Why did the feds have money to begin with? Lower federal taxes and let state raise their own taxes. Not sure I understand that one, but she got hit on that. She's also getting criticized for something which is a bit novel, actually. So the Oregonian has actually done a front page editorial, slamming Kotek, and so usually editorials usually appear like in a section further back in the paper,
above or below the fold.
Right at the fold, actually. So technically above it, I guess, the headline, and it says, "This is the Taxpayer Association of Oregon noted this." They said the Oregonian. They don't remember when the Oregonian has ever run a political editorial on the front page of the newspaper. The Sunday Oregonian, which circulates 150,000, ran the editorial in an impassioned plea to get Portland students back into school while the Portland teachers strike hits a second week. They said, students need to return to classes now. We are breaking the habit of going to school and devaluing the importance of education. Well, I think they already did a lot to devalue it within that system. Already, a majority of elementary and middle school kids fall short of reading and math proficiencies. Well, they got rid of the standards, so I guess they're not falling short anymore. And the state continues to post mediocre graduation rates. Well, they can fix that too by just graduating everybody anyway. Even more alarming, the number of kids marked chronically absent last year rose to 200,000. 28% of public students, almost twice the rate from pre-pandemic days. A strike that disconnects kids even more from their schools should have a 5-alarm fire. When will adults match the rhetoric of valuing children with action? Here's what I don't understand. Why are they getting more money
for less students?
And of course, there's record funds available that has been already made available by the state of Oregon. So there's record spending already, and they want more money, and they have fewer students. Why are we paying more money for this?
Doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if you have if you have fewer students and you have a lot of students that aren't just showing up for school, and you don't have any standards, so you really don't have to teach anything, I guess. It seems to me you could do that with far less money than they're receiving now. I mean, we're it's not like we're at the bottom of the barrel for school funding in the state of Oregon. I mean, we're paying quite a bit per student. And frankly, if I were paying that to a private school, I would expect quite a bit.
I think you're right. And this is also fascinating. This might explain what they are spending the money on. Portland teachers use strike to demand racial equality trainings as schools stay closed. So while kids aren't learning to read and write, there's few of them teach in the first place. They aren't in school anyway. The teachers are demanding racial equality trainings.
For who?
It says
for the students, for the teachers, for the people that are having to have a smaller family budget because of the increased taxes. I mean, gosh.
They consider it. So the union considers this part of professional development for teachers, to go in and kind of give them these brainwashing sessions about racial equity and implicit bias to make everybody feel like they're racist. And so they say that's what they really need, is they need to have that and more money, so that they can teach less students.
Teach less students fewer skills that won't be, they're not required to graduate. I mean,
but by teachers who will understand that they're racist. But the teachers will know they're racist.
It sounds to me like it's daycare, and they're just using the opportunity for indoctrination. Hey, we got to take care of these kids during the day. We feed them 3 meals a day, and we may as well turn them into commies.
That's right. Yeah, because that's why you need to train the teachers of that, because then you need to go tell the students that they need that what the most important thing is. I know you can't read, but just listen to me tell you why you're racist, or you're a victim. Depends. I mean, I guess they're just, and that the person next to you who is racist, they are racist against you, so you should hate them, and they should apologize. And that's,
you're oppressed.
You're oppressed.
You're non-white, so you're oppressed. That's even though white people are the smallest minority on the face of the earth.
Meanwhile, it looks like our friend Catherine Hickok at the Cascade Policy Institute has put out a report that debunks the assertion that if you give people school choice, where they like voucher systems and stuff like that, she has to debunk the idea that it causes inflation. She says they don't cause inflation. And she goes in to explain. I know. It's like that just shows like the media actually has to have things as basic as this explained to them. It said over the past 10 years, states that adopted school choice policies had lower rates of tuition increases than states that never had school choice policies. When adjusted for inflation, cost of tuition rose more slowly in states previously adopted school choice. States without school choice, Oregon is kind of an example in a way, have had an average of a 27.6% increase in tuition versus 15.4% over the same period, the study found. So, it is, I mean, I know that we have some degree of school choice, but it's only, we don't have a voucher system. What we have is charter schools, or you can homeschool, right? Or virtual charter schools, which are sort of a hybrid. Sounds like we could bring the inflation, the cost of schooling down by having choice introduced, which works for everything else where people have a choice, right?
Yeah, except for the fact that if more students go to those and there are less students in public school, we know that the teachers union would require more money because everyone's racist.
Because everyone's racist. Plus, they might be concerned that if somebody used their voucher to go to a school that taught something as nefarious as reading and math, and not enough of the racial equity, implicit bias stuff, then they'd have to go do something about it and get those schools and the program canceled, because there simply would be too many people proficient at math and reading, and not enough people proficient at feeling like they're racist or calling other people racist, which would be a tragic thing for society, actually.
Yeah, I guess I'm not wholeheartedly into using taxpayer money for to fund other than public schools, because I know that money will come with strings, and it will probably, it'll ruin many a good school. I could see tax credits. You should at least get your taxes back for the school that you're paying for, that you're not sending your kids to. But I think anytime you take, I want to say public money, but it's taxpayer money. Anytime you take money that's been confiscated from taxpayers from the government, there's a string attached.
Well, and the amount of money they're spending per student per year in a place like Portland is bringing it in to relatively the same range as it costs to go to a private school. So if it is interesting, it used to be, while you needed a voucher, you could go to a private school, but most of those already have waiting lists now. So the public school is the one that's taking the money and wasting it. I mean, maybe that's the only thing the voucher system does point out, is that if you took away some of the crap that the public schools do, we know the teachers unions usually suffer as a result of, not the teachers, but the teachers unions suffer as a result of someone being able to take their money and go somewhere else. Then unfortunately, right? Or no, fortunately, the teachers union doesn't actually have as much power over the schools that money goes to. But right, it has politicians still involved.
Well, it does, yeah, it does. I mean, I don't know what it's like up where you sent your kids, but when my kids were in private school, the public school they would have been in was spending $11,000 per student. That's been quite some time ago. It's significantly more now. It's double now, I think. But they were spending $11,000 per student, and my kids I could send them to private school for $7,000.
Yeah.
So, with a classroom size of between 8 and 12.
Right. I know there's a clear efficiency difference, and it's about the who is the customer, right? And the accountability.
Right.
Somebody wants to spend like $30,000 to send their kids to a school where 38% of the students don't show up, and then they can't read and do math when they get to the end at grade level, and then they don't graduate. If somebody wants to spend that much
and the
money,
school doesn't care.
and the school doesn't care, they want to spend that much money and get that result, fine, right? What we have is the worst of both systems. We have people really being forced to pay for something, even if they don't have kids. And then they've got a system where they produce these crappy results. We know that somebody spends that much money, they expect something for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've said it, and I'll say it again. The public school systems are jobs programs for people who can't, survive in the private sector, I think.
Yeah. No, and what is it? 10 months a year? 9 months.
Yeah, and it pays pretty good. I mean, this whole, I only get paid for 9 or 10 months out of the year argument is really not the case. And if you're good at it, then you're in the administration and you're making a large bank. You're making deep 6 digits.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, so we beat up the Portland public schools, although it looks like somebody's filing a unfair labor practice. I don't even want to go into that because once you get into labor law, I'm not even sure I understand how any of that works. But if someone wants to read it, they can go read it. But we're not done beating up Portland. There's way more to talk about. Here's one example. So why 3 Target stores closed in Portland recently? So 3 of these stores closed, and there's a photo which shows in one Portland Target store the aisle of laundry detergent, and to show how much things have changed. Each detergent pod bag was covered in a locked glass box that could only be unlocked at the counter. So you literally put the plastic detergent bag, container inside a glass box to make sure that nobody could easily use it or steal it. I don't know. I think somebody really wants to, they could break the glass, but and they said, and the whole aisle looked deserted, like they didn't have enough supply or that some was stolen. There was definitely a shoplifting surge. It's done in some businesses like REI and Walmart as well. And this is how Multnomah County compares to the other 2 counties nearby in terms of prosecuting shoplifting. Washington County with right. They actually have somebody who will prosecute, and they do so to 93% of the theft 2 and theft 3 cases. 93%.
Really?
Clackamas County, 84%. Multnomah County, 46%.
Yeah.
So there's your difference, and also they throw in here, because it's the Taxpayers Association, that the politicians have passed 2 big business taxes in the past 5 years, just to make it even less attractive to hang around.
Yeah. Well, I like to see people who steal things from stores prosecuted, because you and I pay for it.
Yeah, no, that's right. Because usually it just gets passed on in the price of what we buy, either in the form of insurance coverage or just outright, shrinkage, as they call it.
Yeah. I think, didn't we cover, I don't know if we covered the story or not, you and I, or whether we covered it on the show at all, but Home Depot recently released their shrinkage numbers in the last couple months. And it was $900 million.
Yeah.
It was enough. Yeah. It was enough to build like 18 stores, employ thousands of people. And that's what we all pay for. We pay for it, we pay for it at the cash register, because you and I and everybody who watches the show are the kind of people that go to a store, grab something, and take it to the cash register and pay for it. Unlike, the current trend, which is just to grab it and walk out for it and forget to pay for it. But we pay for it there, and then we pay for it at the inconvenience. I can't even grab a roll of wire at Home Depot anymore because it's behind a lock and key. So I got to wait for somebody to come and get it. And then they have to take it to the check stand, because I can't be trusted to move it through the store without stealing
it. It's kind of defeats the purpose of a store, which is why they're actually closing.
Yeah.
Well, So that is one story about Portland. But then this story is about what they're really focusing their attention and efforts on, not stopping all the theft so that stores don't leave and you don't end up with retail deserts, as they call them. But Portland is planning to ban gas-powered leaf blowers. That's high on their agenda because
Whoa, that's a good thing there, huh? Whew.
yeah, the leaf. Now, I understand that the sound of leaf blowers is super annoying. I get it. The people who have to rake leaves strongly in support of leaf blowers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or somebody who has to pay like 5 times as much to have 5 guys rake leaves, that you can pay one dude with a leaf blower and get it over with in 15 minutes. That, there's that. But they aren't doing this just because of noise ordinances. They want everyone to switch to electric or battery operated leaf blowers for the entire city.
Yeah. Well, battery operated ones don't require any energy because it comes from a battery.
That's right. Yeah, there's energy in the battery, and it just comes out of it somehow. And
That's correct.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
how electric cars work. Electric cars don't require any coal to be burnt because they have a battery, and batteries, are just they're magic.
Well, do you remember Alexandria Ocasio, the meme about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal idea? It had a power strip, and it was plugged into it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the way they think it works. Well, I'm telling you, we've been talking. I guess I've been the one been bringing it up, but I've been talking about this for a while now. That's the next thing is a climate emergency.
Yeah.
And woe unto us, particularly in the state of Oregon, because Oregon will be the petri dish to how far they can clamp down on the citizenry after declaring a climate emergency. Because obviously, if we don't do anything, and well, see, all the 12-year things have I guess they're extending them another 12 years. But if we don't do anything immediately, they're just going to burn up. We're all going to die.
That's right. I mean, what they're hoping is by extending the deadline of when the apocalypse happens, but still implementing apocalyptic policies that produce actually a kind of apocalypse in and of its own, they could actually completely lay waste to Oregon, and the world will never actually end, except for just in Oregon, where it'll be a self-inflicted apocalypse rather than whatever they think it is. Yeah, they've predicted 0 out of the last 10 apocalypses. Really good at that.
Well, I remember from the 70s, it was an ice age was coming. We're all going to freeze to death.
It did come, didn't it? I don't remember. I can't remember.
It was getting colder, and then it got warmer, and then it got colder, and even though even though Al Gore and company say that the Earth has been consistently warming, there was a pause in that warming for 15 years or 12 years or something. So, they're not. I mean, they really should just come clean and go, look, there's no freaking emergency. We just want you to do this.
Yeah, we just do what we tell you and shut up, which worked during COVID, right? That's what they got away with that.
Right.
So
we want you all to have electric everything so that we can turn it off.
Yes, that's right. And tell you that actually we will turn it on only if you meet our equity standards. But if we've deemed you to potentially be experiencing some sort of privilege, such as white privilege, then no electricity for you. Sorry, not allowed. So
yeah,
unless you vote for us, and then we'll give you some electricity.
Ben brought up a good one here. Back to the shoplifting. I don't know if you heard the story that Target they didn't want sheriffs to arrest people inside their store for shoplifting. They wanted them to take it outside. They didn't want the optics.
Yeah, bad optics. You know what's bad optics too? A closed store. That's bad optics for the store. Yeah, I guess they got one if they didn't do something about the other. Speaking of emergencies, here's an actual emergency. and we've heard repeatedly that there's a homelessness emergency, and there's a opioid drug addiction emergency, and there's a drug and mental health, behavioral health treatment emergency. And all of those things are being made worse by something called Measure 110. And there are lawmakers that are asking or demanding now at this point that the governor declare a state of emergency and call a special session of the legislature to come and repeal Measure 110. The voters were duped. That's a big part of this. The voters were told, you know what? We'll tax cannabis and we'll give you a bunch of treatment. And then, we'll decriminalize. Well, never mind what that other stuff is. Turns out it was fentanyl, meth, heroin, cocaine, crack. And what happened? They didn't get any treatment. But they got everybody in the United States coming to Oregon so they could do unfettered fentanyl and meth. Yeah. And then, thank you to President Brandon, he opened the southern border because there's all these fairly impoverished individuals carrying bricks of fentanyl and balloons of meth to people so that they can engage in commerce and bring the price down of these drugs in Portland down to, I think in the case of a fentanyl pill, it's like 80 cents now.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
and so
that must be really, really hard on the heroin dealers.
Oh, well, actually they've solved that one. They've taken the heroin and the cocaine and the meth, and they've just put fentanyl in it too.
So it's really, really hard on the poppy farmers in Afghanistan.
Exactly. It's so unfair.
It's a good thing they have a bunch of guns they can sell. Apparently they're not selling much in the way of opium.
They actually have armored personnel carriers they can sell, but
yeah. Hey, back to the electric thing. Karen reminded me that in China, the electric heaters in hotels and apartments and everything are disabled until November 1st. You can't turn them on in China, in Beijing.
Because it would use too much electricity for nefarious purposes like keeping warm?
Yeah. Yeah, keeping comfortable. Yeah.
I heard that because of this Asian Economic Summit or something that Chinese President Xi is coming to. I was just listening to this today. What they did is they figured out how to solve the homelessness problem.
In San Francisco in 24 hours?
They did. They went and they made everybody who was in San Francisco in the streets leave and go outside of San Francisco for 24 to 48 hours while the summit goes on.
Right. Right. I wonder if they bust them out.
That could be. That'd be very expensive though. But but you shouldn't spare any cost, any expense if the person who's coming to town is the person that has supplied you with all the fentanyl via Mexico. So,
right.
Right.
All the raw materials. Yeah. Plus, in the case of San Francisco, where Nancy Pelosi is from, they look up to a great Chinese leader because really that's what they want. They comrades.
Well, there was even somebody that worked for Obama. I think she was the White House communications director or something. I don't remember her name, but she's like a university professor, Harvard or something. And I remember she said that her hero, the person she admired, was Mao. She stated, for instance, that one of the things she admired was his saying that all power comes from the barrel of a gun. And
all political power.
Yeah.
Well, it does. It does.
Well, it does. Well, even if you don't like it, if you disagree with that, then you can disagree with the barrel, the business end of a barrel of a gun, right? That's
yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot of things that are enforced by the barrel of the gun. I mean, if you don't pay your taxes, eventually somebody with a gun shows up and says, give me your money. Right?
Yeah, they don't say, well, since you won't give us the money, we're not going to do anything about it.
If you disagree with that taxation as theft, well, think about it. I mean, what's the difference between me coming up and putting a gun in your face and give me your money, and the government coming up with putting a gun in your face and saying, give me your money? I mean, it's both theft.
Well, I think the only reason why it works that way is because there are a bunch of Democrats who figure that no one's going to point the gun at them. They're going to point it at somebody, some rich person, who apparently is supposed to pay for everything while they sit around and just, I don't know, collect COVID relief funds or something. And
well, they figured out that they can bribe the voters, stay in power with the taxpayers' money. So, once you can bribe the voter with money from the treasury, then it's it's easier to collect those taxes, I guess.
Well, score one for the taxpayers in Salem, and I say taxpayers because I won't say voters, because even though thank you voters for what they did, it was actually the people who had to pay the payroll tax that they wanted to add in Salem. And it was soundly rejected. It was like not super close. I'm looking for the vote total here in the article, and somehow that's missing. But at least the media admitted that the election result happened. I think it was like 60-40 or something. And so this is someone at it's the Statesman Urinal that. Why voters rejected Salem's proposed payroll tax, what city officials plan to do. They put in a tax that was designed to collect taxes from all the people that go and work in Salem. And it turns out that's a lot of government workers, too, who don't live in Salem, as well as other people I happen to know. And this is turned out to shock some of the people in the city council that voted for it, that it's so wildly unpopular.
Tone deaf much?
Well, and it would have
a
person earning the equivalent of an hourly rate of $29.90, which actually isn't very much nowadays.
Not really.
Would have paid $506 annually in this tax.
So $40 a month.
Yeah, which
43 bucks.
And so Oregon Business and Industry and some other groups, I think the Marion County Republicans joined forces, and they referred it to the ballot, and then it got crunched, which is score one for the taxpayers, score one for the idea that it's actually really dumb to do this if you don't want people to start relocating their businesses out of your city.
Yeah. The whole move by all entities, even small entities, city councils, county commissioners, all the way on up to the state and everything, to just extract as much tax money from the taxpayer as possible, is just abhorrent. It's absolutely abhorrent. And like you mentioned with 110, the voters get duped. First time we saw it was 66 and 67.
Yeah.
That passed, tax passed the voters because, it won't affect me, just rich people, and we just saw it in our county, 99 cents, 1,000 tax passed. That's a huge tax increase. It's huge. If you live on Social Security, the average Social Security check is about $1,800, and your house that you bought for $35,000 45 years ago is now worth $300,000, which it would be. You're going to pay another $25 to $30 a month.
Surprise, you're rich.
Yeah.
Should have thought of that. Huh?
Yeah. And if you're only making $1,800 a month on Social Security, $25, $30 a month is quite a bit of money.
It's a lot of money, and I think that people are starting to feel it, because when folks say there's inflation, when they say things are becoming less or unaffordable, right? We know part of it's energy, which they aren't going to allow enough to be created of. So then we're going to run low on that. It's going to get more expensive. Then it's also all the cost that energy adds on to everything else. It's food, it's, you name it, right? Everything is going to be affected by energy costs, and that price is going to go up. Then you're also going to have the government pumping money into the economy and killing the incentive for people to work, so that there's not enough people. The ones who are there become more expensive. that has to be passed on to the businesses making the goods. They have to pass it on to consumers if they're going to stay in business. More inflation. And then government, just to come in while you're down, comes in with some taxes and says, we're gonna make the cost of living even more expensive. Boom,
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there you go. Government finishes you off.
Yep. Government's job to finish you off.
That's right. Well, last thing, I mean, I hope everyone got to at least spend a little time thinking about veterans and what they mean to us. And I did get to go to an event last Thursday down in Florence, Oregon, and it was really good. It was an actual high school that brought in like 60 or 70 veterans and just celebrated them and brought the whole student body there and had people give speeches and tell their stories.
Nice.
They were inspired. It was great. I don't know if other high schools are even bothering to do that, but I thought I'd call them out for being they get the thumbs up from the captive audience. You know, I know we're mostly nibbling on the news carcass here, but every once in a while we have to call out somebody who's doing the right thing. And in particular, I think we want to make sure that everybody, especially young people, learn about and remember what veterans did, because a lot of the young people didn't have to do anything to enjoy the freedom they have. And here's a really good T-shirt that someone got a picture of and posted to the Oregon Catalyst. It says veteran, and it has, you know, the pronunciation, the phonetic pronunciation - noun. 1, this is the definition: person who wrote a blank check payable to the United States of America for an amount up to and including one's life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, along with that, the best quote that I saw for Veterans Day was, or maybe it's an admonition, is be the kind of American that is worth fighting for and dying for.
That's a really great one. Yeah.
Because it's when I see people, you know, pissing on the American experiment and pissing on the American way and the American founding principles, you know, they're pissing on the corpses of people that died to save that. I don't
Many
like
of whom sacrificed most of the life they had ahead of them to enjoy it. They didn't get it. They gave us what we have. And actually, here's another very interesting quip. It shows a picture of Army personnel in front of a flag, and it says, "Government shuts down for Veterans Day. Military personnel don't get the day off." So it's like, okay. I'm glad at least that when somebody's no longer in the military, there's a decent chance they might get the day off and they might be able to have the opportunity to be honored. But isn't that interesting too?
Yeah.
Kind of says.
Yeah. Maybe it's too bad the J6 coup was not successful.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know, they just ran out of Wookiee outfits. That's what happened. So I think next time, if they ever do one of those things again, I think they should change to C-3PO outfits, you know, the golden robot from Star Wars. Because I mean, that would at least be funny, and it would make great footage. And you just see somebody going around in the Capitol hallways, like, you know, just with a artificial voice. But
yeah.
Then again, it might be tempting our artificial intelligence masters here. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Another meme that I liked, that James Buechel posted, it was a picture of Rod Serling, Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And it read, imagine being the most armed citizenry on the face of the earth, and your government is run by criminals and you do nothing.
This is true. It does feel like the Twilight Zone. The only thing could be worse is being the unarmed citizenry that can't do anything. And there are some countries like that, right?
Well, yeah. The most tyrannical citizen, or the most oppressed citizenries in the face of the earth are necessarily disarmed. Because in theory, an armed citizenry will not stand for such things, and it will cast off that government. that is oppressive and tyrannical.
I believe you're quoting the Declaration of Independence there. By the way, Pat Finley, thank you. Great thing. He says his T-shirt says, Biden is killing it. And on the back, it says, killing the economy, killing jobs, killing America. Thank you, Pat. That's awesome. And on that note, I think we might want to make it a wrap for tonight. Thank you for joining me for this News Carcass Monday on Captive Audience, David.
Yeah, it was a great nibbling.
And there might still be some morsels for you guys out there. If there's still some people that want to also partake in our grand feast here, our wild grand feast, please share this show with all of them. They deserve to be infotained and informed, just like you all have enjoyed tonight. And we should be back with another episode of the Captive Audience tomorrow night. Don't know exactly what the programming is going to be because I kind of have a time conflict, but we'll figure it out because you know what? We always do. There's a lot of important news out there, and we'll try to bring it to you. And we'll definitely also be back on Wednesday with Don and Sunny. So everyone have a great evening, and we will see you on the next episode of the Captive Audience. Good night.